Okay, everyone, let's get started. Welcome to this week's Twitter Space, March 8th, Tuesday, as always, 6:30 p.m. Singapore time, 11:30 morning in Europe, and very early morning in the US. Topics for the day are going to be mostly focused around our company Cake, actually. The last two Twitter spaces were mostly general markets. Today we have something to update you on, and also kind of to expect the next Twitter spaces. We're also going to have a bit more company updates. Simply as I had mentioned, January, February were a lot of cleanup from kind of our rush into finishing a strong year 2021, and then after that, there's always a bit of a cleanup, working on launching new features, things that you then actually see. And so generally in the first quarter, at the end, rather, you're going to see some of those updates. And yeah, I want to go through your questions, update you on various things. So if you have anything, just simply tweet at me or tweet at Cake DeFi or at Julian Hosp. Both works. Fabio is monitoring the Cake DeFi account, and obviously I'm going to be looking at my personal account on this. Yeah, that being said, obviously, thanks so much for tuning in live, or if you're listening to the recording on various podcast apps, you can also do that. We're doing this on a weekly basis. So that's kind of the outline. First and foremost, I think many of you have seen this. We had an update yesterday on the European license situation. And in today's podcast, I want to use a couple of minutes to comment on this. I think, as some of you have also known, at the beginning of the year, there was a notice from the German regulator Baffin that they are looking into whether we needed a license for Germany or not. Some of the YouTubers, influencers, media outlets kind of twisted that into saying that we're doing something illegal. This is absolutely not the case. Baffin was simply looking into this. And obviously, with that, we also re-engaged our German lawyers to kind of analyze and see, has anything been changed from when we did this actually some time ago, where we analyzed the European market. And actually, and that was the first step. Then what we did, we removed the German language from our website, which in theory is completely aligned with what pretty much all the other crypto companies are doing. If you look at Kraken or Crypto.com or Binance or and so on, one of the reasons why they don't have a German language on there is so that they actually don't need to have a German license. And then maybe the quick side note, Baffin did send us an email, but it was just before Christmas. No one of us really noticed it, for the simple reason anyone can send us an email. It was basically the customer support form. Very weird approach in how a regulator dropped us an email. And we only found out about that when our law firm then contacted Baffin and asked for information. And Baffin said, yeah, we dropped these guys an email via the customer support form. I just want to highlight, like, anyone could do this, right? Like, you could go into our customer support form and say, hey, hi guys, I'm Baffin. Please send me all the information. It's, to me, very interesting how a German regulator approaches this. So there was no letter sent to us, or there was no official communication. It was purely via an anonymous customer support form. So I don't know, quite an interesting approach. Let's kind of keep it at that. So, and that was just before Christmas. And we only kind of figured that out afterwards, when the lawyers then told us, hey, on that day, can you please check, was there an email? And so that was why then Baffin thought we didn't want to talk to them. And that's why they made this public notice on them looking into if we need a license or not. Yeah, so that's maybe an interesting side note in how some of these regulators operate. Again, just kind of maybe a bit of a reference. Think about how much spam you're getting and how many kind of very official sounding institutions write to you and ask you about details or funds or whatever. Yeah, and then you have an anonymous form where people can submit information. So quite again, let's keep this very basic here. Very interesting approach in how this was done. But nevertheless, as a side note, so our lawyers contacted Baffin. They got in touch. They are resolving everything on their end. And at the same time, we then analyzed or reanalyzed the situation, and obviously looking at the so-called Payment and Services Act here in Singapore and the so-called crypto asset license in Europe. So I just to be clear here, this is not an exchange license, and this is on purpose. We don't want to be an exchange at Cake DeFi because I actually believe exchanges going forward are going to get over-regulated. I mean, we know that Biden is going to come out with his executive order, and I think that's also again going to hit exchanges. A lot of this, in my opinion, is going to force companies to go the direction of becoming banks, and I actually believe this is going to make companies lose with the entire overhead and complexity and lack of innovation. And so we always wanted to stay on the custodial side of things for crypto. And so looking and comparing the licensing requirements for this crypto asset license in Europe and comparing that to the Payment Services Act in Singapore, actually, it doesn't require us much effort to get that license. For us, we are basically prepared to get that simply because we have done all the KYC implementations when it comes to FATF, when it comes to money laundering and all these checks. I mean, there's not a single of you on our platform that has dollars with us, even a single dollar. It isn't fully KYC'd and checked and so on. So it's actually very simple for us to do that. And so that European license, there's also going to be an extension to that later on. It's called MiCA, which is a license that kind of has this entire crypto asset regulation then done for Europe. And so that's the license we're going to go for. Again, for us, this is more of an administrative thing, less than an actual regulatory additional step. So that's why it was from a kind of cost benefit ratio, it was very much on the benefit side, even though we could operate like at the moment as we are. But then looking at the additional benefits, obviously, probably you know us quite well. You have a lot of trust in what we're doing, and you're all good with that. But obviously, going forward, and we want to hit tens of billions of customers, hundreds of millions of customers. So tens of millions of customers, hundreds of millions of customers. With that, obviously, if you can just tell people, look, we have this European license, we are being checked, everything is done properly, obviously that's going to make it a lot easier for us in kind of opening the door to new customers. And since the cost is very, very small for us, the effort is relatively easy because we've done most of the things already. It's very easy for us to open that door. And so, which once that license then is completed, and yeah, as soon as this is done, obviously we're going to open the various languages again. Then we're going to focus on German again, and probably also Spanish and French and so on. So we're just going to really want to kind of go that route then. So for you, this means, again, anyone out there who was fear mongering and saying, oh, Cake DeFi has to shut down. Is this the next Wirecard? No, guys, this is a completely different story. This was really more on, do we need to be licensed or not? I mean, there's many, many other companies in Europe who have the same kind of thing where a regulator says, oh, do they need to have a license or not? We're still of the opinion that we don't need a license, but we're actually going to cut that discussion and say, look, for us, the effort is relatively easy, and the outcome can be very beneficial, obviously, to us as a company, and then to you as customers. And so it's going to be and then the regulator obviously is also happy, so everyone kind of has their win. And so it's going to be a very good kind of mix there. So I want to lead with that. I think you have seen this in the news yesterday, depending on which country you're in. Obviously, in the German-speaking markets, this was more discussed, but also in the English-speaking markets. So I wanted to lead with that. So that's very, very positive news, hopefully for all of you, especially if you're in Europe. If you're outside of Europe, you probably say, oh, I couldn't care less. And I also saw some really nice, funny comments where people were like, oh, there's a regulator who warned about your company. Okay, your company must be quite interesting. That was when I signed up for Cake DeFi. Thanks for the free marketing. Yeah, I thought that was quite funny. But yeah, I just really want to also highlight, I mean, it is in no interest for us to do anything against the law, really absolutely zero. We also don't want to enable anything that is illegal. For us, we're all about innovation, and we're all about driving that innovation. And so we want to find that fine line where we can keep innovating, but stay completely within the framework that the law provides. Yeah, with that, Fabio, what was the community feedback? What did you see in the groups a bit? Share a bit there. I think for you, that's a lot easier, monitoring Telegram all the time and so on.
Yeah. Hey, hi everybody. Maybe to just give some extra information on top of this, why Julian spent 5 minutes explaining this is yesterday there were several news pieces, especially in the German market and German language. I think the first one to publish this was Bitcoin Echo, and they said the headline was Cake DeFi is getting a license in Europe or in Germany, something like that. And this kind of went on for the whole day. So this is the reason why Julian was touching on that. And in the community, we saw a lot of overwhelmingly positive reaction. Of course, you have this 20% cypherpunk community members who think you should not bow the knee to the regulators. But yeah, the crypto market is almost a little bit of a grown-up market, and regulators do have something to say. And if we need a license, yeah, then
I mean, and I think that's a fair point. I mean, we discussed this through. We had team meetings where we really kind of, and if you know me well, and I hope you do like a little bit, then you know that I'm someone who's never scared of ideas. I have no issues throwing out any idea, even if it's the craziest idea out there. And I still remember where we had this whiteboard session and we were like, okay, so what are we going to do? Let's throw any idea on there, be it as crazy as it is. And one of those ideas was exactly that. The thing is just, at the end, why you're doing it, right? You're doing, let's say, why would you go and just say, let's fight every regulator out there? Yes, you can, but at the end, the question really becomes, are you not going to fight against windmills? Are you not just going to fight for the sake of fighting? And doesn't it just make way more sense in like actually focusing on the business and focusing what's going to deliver the most value to the business, what's going to deliver the most value to the customers, what's going to deliver the most value to our partners, to everyone that is involved, and obviously compare that to the cost, right? And so I also want to be honest here. If this would have been like a country that's like, I don't know, somewhere where for us this is a very completely irrelevant market, and I also want to highlight this here. This is maybe also a bit of a misunderstanding. Baffin mentioned this or referenced this one interview, and that was basically part of their claim. In this interview in German, the interviewer asked me if Germany was an important market to us. Now, put yourself into the shoes of the CEO of a company, right? And then the interviewer of a magazine in that country asks you, is our country an important market for you? What are you going to say? Like, just put yourself, are you going to say, oh, screw you? Like, your country is the least important country. Like, who cares about your country? No, of course not. You want to build positive news. You want to build like a positive kind of equity there. So of course you say, oh yeah, sure. Germany is one of the most important markets for us. And like putting this into percentages, like Germany is an important market, but it's definitely not the main market. It's actually in percentages. It's a super tiny market in the complete larger scale of things. That's just because, I mean, we have, I think, Stephen, can you remember the number that Stephen posted into Slack? How many different countries we now have of customers? It was like,
I think 191 or so.
I can't remember. It was like a super, like almost, I think we have like customers from literally any country that's like non-US sanctioned. And like Germany is just a super tiny sliver out of all of it. But of course, I mean, it does not matter any country that where there's a news publication that will talk to us and they would say, hey, like, how do you see the local kind of market? Do you think that's an important country? Of course it is. Like, I don't know. Yeah. So I just want to state this also here. And so, but obviously, we discussed this and said, hey, okay, if this was like a country where it really didn't matter, then and I mean, Germany has what, 80 million customers. There's around 100 million, not 80 million customers, 100 million people live in the German-speaking markets. So of course, we would love to address them in German, which we're not doing right now. But of course, we would love to in the future with the license. if this was a market that had, I don't know, 500,000 customers, probably we wouldn't jump through any extra hoops, even if the cost of doing so would be relatively small. But to be able to address 100 million customers in their native tongue, I think this makes sense. So I do understand when the cypherpunks out there say, hey, why do you why do you bow down to the regulator? Screw them. Sure, I understand it. And there's some like of that DNA in me. But at the same time, I mean, we're a business, right? And we need to focus on obviously delivering value to our customers, to the team, to anyone that's involved. And yeah, there the cost reward ratio was actually very straightforward.
I just double checked, by the way. It is in fact 191 different countries.
Wow. Yeah. So 191. So of course, any country that's listening, right? It does not matter if it's Germany or if it's Turkey or if it's whatever country we like we have customers from. Like we love you, we want you. It's amazing to have you, and you are super important. And again, this please, if a regulator listens here, this does not mean that you are the most important market for us. It's yeah. Also, I mean, I'm the CEO of the company. I'm definitely not gonna do anything that's gonna hurt our relationship with the media or something. So I hope that also makes sense a bit. Cool. I mentioned maybe just divert a bit. I mentioned the executive order that Biden is expected to bring out. Obviously, we see a lot of craziness in the markets at the moment. What's the talk on the on crypto Twitter around that order? What's expected, Fabio?
Yeah, lots of rumors actually. Like I follow Dennis Porter. He's actually really good with covering these things, and he has a Twitter space aligned when the order is coming out. The things that get talked about until now is you have a lot of people that I think there will be, or that's a rumor, not a fact, but a rumor. A rumor is that there will be a task force between environmental impact and science and technology to see what impact on the environment, so ESG arguments, does Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies have. So it's not that they make a decision on how to handle it, but that they form a task force to form to make a study about it. And of course, you have like especially in the maximalist community, which I follow very closely. There are several talks of you had Gary Gensler and lots of other people in when it comes to regulation already saying what they kind of want to do, and especially talking about unregistered securities. So of course there is lots of rumors and lots of talks about that and what that could mean for the crypto market, or in that case for altcoin or for Ethereum, for Bitcoin. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a general direction, and I mean, I see this on Twitter especially, and obviously on Reddit. People like they constantly fight the traditional banking system, and I understand that fight. And even less is it for me understandable that actually crypto companies want to go that route, right? But okay, that's not. I mean, I'm not them. I am like our direction is going to be a very different one. We don't want to become a bank. We want to keep disrupting the banking system by having DeFi on the back end and having a very easy, accessible, regulated platform on the front end. But that's not an exchange. And I think that's actually the right way, in my opinion, to go forward here, to actually use blockchain for what it is. And as a company, do what you do well, namely be a very easy to use access point for customers. But so we're going to see a lot of this regulation, in my opinion, and it will come up. We see this in Europe. We see this in the US. Obviously, a lot of it has to do with the sanctions that we're seeing right now against Russia. And I mean, we see the kind of word being put out more and more that some politicians, and in my opinion, it's not correct to put this out, but they're going to point this out, that crypto is being used to bypass sanctions. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of kind of focus. Let's call it more of a focus on crypto in the kind of regulatory point framework kind of going forward. So yeah. Also, we have the Fed meeting coming up next week. So that's going to be an interesting one. 15th, 16th of March. I think the announcement's going to happen on the 16th, at least here in Singapore. Maybe it's on the 15th in the US. Yeah, they're expecting only as a single kind of interest raise now by 0.25%. Definitely going to be an interesting one. I still think actually a lot of people are not kind of expecting it, but it was announced that it's kind of expected to do like a single raise. What's the story there?
Yeah, lots of wild conspiracy theories, of course, that they are not going to do it, that it's only 0.25, that it's 0.5, buy the rumor, sell the news, that it's already priced in. There are so many different opinions on this topic that it's hard to keep track. Like you would say, okay, they are either going to raise, keep it the same, or lower it, but no, there is there is some real depth into each individual option. And like I personally agree with your statement. I would say they're probably going to raise 0.25 or 0.5, and they're going to follow through. That's at least my, I don't know, educated guess or my dubious speculation. But there is a chance, especially if the market develops like, I don't know, today we had a little sell off. Maybe we're going to have more sell offs this week and next week if the market feels a little bit in no man's land or unstable. I can imagine that they backpedal and they're not even going to do anything. So I guess all options are on the table. But if they are going to raise rates by 0.25%, my best guess would be that this is already priced in. That this is, of course, we have the whole situation going on in the East with Ukraine and Russia, but of course also the anticipation of the rate hike. Most of the times, these things are priced in.
Yeah. Obviously, we see. I mean, I think a lot of the reasons also why the regulator, obviously, or that the regulator, why the Fed is a bit more cautious here is obviously we see like insane uncertainty in the general markets, and like actually there's not so much news here to discuss, but one thing we did see was commodity prices just going absolutely bonkers. Yeah, how like I mean it's just insane, right? When we see I saw this really crazy kind of memes on gas stations. I mean, the oil prices where it was like selling one kit, selling two kits, selling three kits, like super like I get it, like it's super sad and funny at the same time, where it's just like people are like, my goodness, I've never seen those gas prices. And there was this one kind of crazy fact where in the movie I Am Legend with Will Smith, where gas prices were like through the roof, and now basically kind of cross those. Yeah, I don't know. What do you see there? I mean, this is just nuts. I mean, I know this is general
Yeah.
markets right now, and I'm going to shift it back afterwards to like cake-related questions, but want to address that a bit.
Maybe let me tell you a super short story. So I'm living in the Netherlands, and the Netherlands we are practically run on gas, and we run on fuel. So benzene and diesel fuel, and also we heat our houses with gas, natural gas, and most of it is imported. So last year I paid 80 cents for 1 cubic meter of gas. Right now, this price approaches €2 for 1 cubic meter. So the price is practically almost 3x. The same, not a 3x, but the gas price where you fuel your car with, they practically doubled, and within a year or so. So what this means for people here in the Netherlands is, so if you earn a good income, of course, this is not that nice, and you're going to be a little bit annoyed about this, but there's a lot of people that don't have 300 or 400 euros to spare on their electricity costs and on their gas costs each and every month. And this is what it means. Like in February, a short month, I paid 420 euros for just for gas. And we are keeping our house cool. We are setting the things lower in the night. We isolated the house, everything, 400 euros just for gas. Yeah, these are crazy developments. And now you see the government jumping into the rescue. And like here, our minister president, he went on the news and he said, "Hey, we're going to help you, but it's going to take a few weeks." So they're subsidizing for energy from the government is coming, at least here in the European Union, in the Netherlands, and I guess other places will follow. This is at least the side I personally notice. Of course, there's lots of talks about the charts on Twitter where people say, "Hey, look, wheat is going sky high, and gas and natural gas and nickel and all the commodity prices are." But some of them have an actual impact on people's life.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, I get. I mean, I don't know. I think 2 months ago or months ago, I can't remember when like the entire, not so much when the Ukraine conflict kind of started like really going up, but like even earlier, I said, look, if you are expecting any kind of conflict like that, be it Taiwan, be it Ukraine or whatever, it is like it's gonna be commodities, it's gonna be oil. I personally didn't bet on that, and that's really also a bit for ethical, moral kind of reasons. But I mean, it's insane to see what's going on there. Yeah, it's yeah, crazy. Mm.
Just maybe a little bit of a heads up. Like we were planning to keep this session a little bit shorter than usual, and we're going to jump into a few basic cake questions. But the reason for this is both Julian and me are really, really busy with something we hope to announce next week or the week afterwards, where there is actually some juicy stuff that we can share around cake. And this week is just not a lot has happened, not in general markets, not in Cake the company, not in cryptocurrency space. We're still hanging somewhere, nowhere in no man's land. Still, nobody knows, are we in a bull market, are we in a bear market, are we just going to go sideways? Nothing really happened. Also, news-wise, it was a pretty boring week. So we thought maybe we're going to keep this session a little bit shorter than usual.
Yeah, it's good. There's a couple of really kind of cake focused questions here. When mobile app dark mode? I actually don't know the answer to that. Do you know that? Otherwise, I'm going to talk to Guan about a roadmap on that.
I'm pushing so much for this internally because I am a dark mode user. We discussed this for the first time 1 year ago, and it is on the table. But an ETA, I don't know. But we are pushing for this. We have some dark mode users within the company, and yeah, I would love to see a dark mode.
I mean, that's a good idea, actually. I think we should have, maybe we bring one on like once a month or something, really for the product. I notice sometimes I'm like, the team is now over 100 people. I think in total, like we have 110 with everyone that has signed, maybe hasn't started yet. Sometimes on these, like, I know that for the customer, this is not a very detailed question. I think this is like a very principled question, but yeah, sometimes I'm so not like involved in those product like those, for me, nuanced decisions. Yeah, but so we definitely need to have Guan on. And I'm glad that I get this question so that I don't kind of lose touch on the very nitty-gritty things sometimes here. So that's good. Cool. What stands behind the plan to add other blockchains to Cake DeFi in Q2? Is this not going to be a risk for DeFi chain? I mentioned this, I think, in every single quarterly update. Cake DeFi and DeFi chain are two completely separate things. People are like that are working on various let's say people that work on Cake DeFi, they are like almost not involved at all in working on DeFi chain. And DeFi chain, to be honest, now there are some core developers that we support, but we're supporting them. But then everything else is completely community driven. So I want to highlight that. And maybe last year, especially, people didn't really appreciate that enough. But this year, they will see that Cake DeFi is something that's very separate from DeFi chain. We're going to be adding a lot of different blockchains with DeFi capabilities and staking and so on to Cake DeFi. Now, before you panic and believe that this is going to like hurt DeFi chain, it's absolutely not going to do, because it's actually going to increase the kind of cross-marketing abilities for us, where this year is going to look like customers coming to Cake DeFi. They're coming with assets, and they going to have only a single question, which is, what is the easiest way that is the safest, that is like the most attractive to get me cash flow on whatever I have? This can be Bitcoin, this can be Ethereum, this can be dollars, this can be DeFi chain, whatever they come with already. And so for us, the idea here is to do a really interesting cross marketing. And you're going to see in Q2, I don't want to give away too much here, but you're going to see very interesting ways in, for example, how you're going to get cash flow from Bitcoin via DeFi chain, but you only need Bitcoin. And this works because we as a company can do that. And that's going to be super, super, super interesting. Now, those of you that are betting heavily on DeFi chain, don't worry. This is going to massively benefit you. But for us, these cross kind of marketing abilities between the various blockchains is going to benefit greatly in the ecosystem. But also for us as a platform, it's going to get us completely independent from one individual blockchain. And even like looking at it today, like asset wise, the most assets that we have are Bitcoin, which makes sense because it's by far the largest blockchain. Um, and so I know that so many people are so focused around DeFi chain, but Cake and DeFi chain are two completely different things. And by the end of the year, people hopefully really understand it as well. And also looking at the community efforts, the marketing efforts. I mean, there's like, we do like zero marketing for DeFi chain. We do the same kind of marketing for Bitcoin, Ethereum, DeFi chain, and so on as for anything else. It's completely community driven. So I think that's a really good question. But I also want to highlight that I keep repeating that in the various quarterly updates. Anything you want to add there, Fabio?
No, it was a perfect summary. No, nothing to add.
Great. There was a question. So when more coins, this is all gonna be Q2 topic. So Q1 hasn't finished yet, and also Q2 topic means by the end of June, right? So this doesn't mean 1st of April. This means end of June. And I also want to highlight we may change our plans completely, and we may not add any new coins in Q2. So also always key as a customer is take what we have, look forward to what you may get, but there's no promise or no, like, obviously you have no right to hold us accountable to for new coins to come. So I just want to make this clear. Now, this doesn't mean this is more of a legal statement here than anything else. Obviously, we would love to make you very happy, and we would love to like provide you many options, and hopefully, what we offer over the next couple of months is going to make you super happy. So I think that's key. What about vaults and loans? When will that come? So the only vault we're planning on offering is actually that of USD, for the simple reason because that's a very logical, understandable kind of service for people. So it's not like minting D tokens is quite complicated for people, but the USD makes a lot of sense. So the plan here was end of Q1, beginning of Q2, and that's still in the timeline. So not changing anything there. Hasn't changed. And then there's a question on when are we allowing people to swap DFI into USDC and so on. This is not a focus at the moment because from everything that we understand, that's going to require us an exchange license. And so no plans on that for now. It may happen at a later stage, but no plans on that concretely for now. Yeah. I don't know. Any other questions you see, Fabio, that we need to address?
One question that we haven't touched on is somebody's asking about an API. I guess this is for tax reasons and tax purposes. We noted that down. There are several people that asked for that. Also, please note we are offering a PDF and a CSV file export on the Cake website that should work with your tax office. If there is something that you need us to add there or something to change, you can reach out on Telegram to me. We are very open in adjusting these things if you have a concrete example that is not working for you. But other than that, I think you touched on all questions underneath the tweet.
Maybe two quick things. First of all, check out the really wonderful Women's Day blog post we put out today. I am always a bit skeptical when companies kind of use such days. I always call this a bit of a virtue signaling for many companies. They don't really live and breathe what they kind of share on such days as a Women's Day. And so I'm actually really proud how we approach this, because what we do here is really kind of just like on a, let's say on a Mother's Day, right? You don't just go out and talk how wonderful mothers are. You actually go out and you're really proud about your own mother, or you really kind of celebrate that part. And so that's what we do here. We kind of celebrate all the women we have in our company. And we have like a lot of women in leadership positions on the tech side, on the marketing side, on the financial side, design many kind of roles. And so I think this is really wonderful. And so take a look there. Maybe we can link this up on our Cake account as well. We shared this. I think, yeah, this is really nice. And it's kind of it's always the direction I enjoy this, because it's not this typical kind of virtue signaling. You're just kind of just going out to do something because you have to. I hate doing that. I really want to do something that you're proud of. And to be honest, I'm really proud of the diversity we have. I mean, us being based in Singapore, diversity is kind of ingrained into the entire culture. We have any kind of religion or lack thereof in the company. We have any kind of ethnicity, gender, and I think that's really, I think, the beauty in our company. And yeah, I also want to highlight maybe one thing, if you care about that. I don't believe that different opinions come out of simply by being of a different gender or a different race. I feel that's actually the most racist thing you can say. But for us, where we really focus on having a meritocracy and believing that the best ideas should rise to the top, it's an automatic kind of result where you just attract all these different people from different backgrounds. And I think that's really great to see. So have a read, have a look, and see for yourself. And maybe last but not least, I'm going to be flying to South by Southwest. It's my first trip to the US in a long time. Last time was someone, I think, almost 3 years ago now. Actually, I think last time I was in the US was when we started, when we just planned Cake, u-zyn and I. So crazy time. And I'm going to be at South by Southwest. My talk is part of the tech blockchain kind of track, which is happening on March 12th. So that's a Saturday, really a prime slot, actually, time-wise and day-wise. So if you are at South by Southwest, drop by, have a chat. Obviously, listen to my talk. I'll be talking about decentralized tokenization. So I'll talk about the D-assets. I'll talk about Web3. I'll talk about the fads out there, the fictions out there, but I'll also talk about the future and how amazing DeFi and this entire kind of ecosystem is going to become. So yeah, that would be nice. Cool. I got nothing else, Fabio. Anything we need to add or mention? I think we went through all the questions.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. Sign up to Cake if you haven't done so yet, and be prepared for the next 2 to 3 weeks. We have some exciting news to share, and thanks for tuning in.
Great. Definitely. Thanks so much. All the best. Stay safe. Talk next week. Thanks, Fabio. And yeah, if you are listening to this as the recording on a podcast, subscribe, share this episode, and then tune in next time. All the best. Yours truly, Julian. Bye-bye.